I put off the hernia surgery for 3 years. Money was tight after the divorce. I kept telling myself it could wait. It could not. By 41, I was wearing a truss to work. My doctor finally pushed me to book it. He gave me a referral to a general surgeon. Private practice. Good reputation, covered by my insurance. I went in for the consultation on a Tuesday. The surgeon was a calm man in his 40s, grey at the temples. Soft voice. He shook my hand and looked at my intake form. Then he paused. He asked if I grew up in the area. I told him yes. He asked which middle school. I said Riverdale. He nodded and went back to the form. He did not look up for a while. I figured it was nothing. A lot of people around here went to Riverdale. 200 kids a grade. I would not remember most of them either. He walked me through the procedure. Laparoscopic repair. Mesh patch. Same-day discharge. I signed the paperwork. Surgery was scheduled 3 weeks out. The morning of the surgery, I barely slept. My ex-wife agreed to drive me home. She waited in the lobby. I went back with the pre-op nurse. They had me change into a gown, 4-line in my left arm, compression socks up to the knee. The anesthesiologist came by and introduced himself. I told him I was nervous. He smiled and said everyone was. He told me I would not remember anything. That was the last thing I heard, or so I thought. I woke up in the middle of it. That is the best way I can say it. My body did not wake. My mind did. I could hear the machines beeping. I could hear voices close to my head. I could not move. Not a finger. Not my eyelids. I tried to breathe. Something was breathing for me. My first thought was this is a dream. It was not a dream. I felt pressure on my lower abdomen. Not pain exactly. More like someone pushing into me. Deep. Slow. I was awake on the table. I learnt later this has a name. Anesthesia awareness. The paralytic works. The hypnotic does not. You stay conscious. You cannot signal. You cannot move. You can only listen. So I listened. 2 voices close by. The surgeon and a scrub nurse. They were talking about a restaurant. Something about her anniversary weekend. The surgeon laughed once. Quiet. Professional. I tried to move my hand. I tried to move my mouth. I tried to open my eyes. Nothing. The scrub nurse mentioned the next case. He told her it was a gallbladder. Then he said my first name out loud, slow, like he was tasting it. Then he spoke again, softer this time. I knew him. She replied, "You knew this patient?" From school. She asked if I remembered him. He told her I did not. He told her I sat in front of him back in homeroom. He told her I used to make his life hell. I was screaming inside my head. I do not remember doing any of that. I do not remember him. I was a kid. I was a kid, but he remembered. He said, "He has no idea it's me." The scrub nurse went quiet. She did not say anything for a long time. I felt pressure deeper inside me. Something was being pulled, then stitched, then pulled again. I could not tell if something was wrong. The surgeon kept going. He told her his name was different now. He explained he took his stepfather's name at 16. That was why I had not recognized it. He told her it did not matter. He told her the surgery was going fine. He said I would heal up normal. Then he added, mostly. I felt another long push inside my abdomen. Then the voices got quieter. I do not know when I went back under. I just remember the cold tile of the ceiling. Then nothing. I woke up in recovery. A nurse was checking my vitals. My throat was raw from the tube. My stomach was wrapped. I tried to say something about the surgery. It came out as a croak. She told me it was normal. She told me patients remember odd things under sedation. She called it the drugs. My ex drove me home that afternoon. I told her what I heard. She listened carefully. She told me it was probably a dream. She told me the brain does weird things. I asked her to look up the surgeon. She did it on her phone in my kitchen. She found his bio, medical school, residency. No childhood info. I told her his name was different now. She asked how I would prove that. I could not answer. The follow-up appointment was 2 weeks later. I sat in his office. He walked in smiling. He was wearing a blue polo under his coat. He looked at my chart. He asked how I was feeling. I told him fine. He pressed around the incision sites. He nodded. Then I asked him. I asked, did we go to school together? He looked up. He looked at me for a long second. He smiled. He replied, I don't think so. He added, I get that a lot. He scheduled my next check for 3 weeks out. I went home. I opened a box from my mother's attic, my 8th grade yearbook. I turned to my homeroom page. He was in the back row. Same eyes, different last name under his face. The one I had not recognized on the paperwork. I still have to go back. The mesh has to be monitored for a year. He is the only surgeon in my network. The next appointment is Thursday. I do not know what he did inside me. I saved for 3 years to get my nose done. I grew up hating it. Every photo felt like proof. At 26, I finally booked the surgery. The clinic was attached to a small surgical hospital. Overnight stay, private room, pain management, nothing fancy. My mother was picking me up in the morning. A storm was rolling in that afternoon. The sky had gone the color of wet cement. The nurse who checked me in mentioned it. She said the night shift was going to be quiet. Most of the scheduled visitors had cancelled. The surgery itself was fine. I do not remember anything about it, just the cold air and counting backward. I woke up in recovery with bandages on my face, splint across the bridge, packing in both nostrils. My eyes were swollen half shut. My throat was dry. A male nurse wheeled me to my room. He was friendly, mid-30s. Clean cut. He introduced himself as John. He told me he would be my CNA for the night. He helped me settle into the bed. He adjusted my fore. He raised the head of the bed. He stood there for a second after, just looking at me. I assumed he was checking I was comfortable. He smiled and told me to rest. He told me he would be back every 2 hours. I was groggy. Everything felt slow. Rain started tapping the window. Soft at first, then heavier. The first check was at 10. He came in quietly. He checked my fore. He took my blood pressure. He asked if I needed anything for pain. I whispered no. My voice was blocked by the packing. It came out like a bad cold. He nodded and left. The door clicked shut softly. I tried to sleep. It was hard with the splint. I could only breathe through my mouth. The rain was steady now. The wind pushed it against the glass in sheets. Thunder rolled somewhere far off. Low, long, I must have drifted off. The next thing I knew, the door was opening. I checked the clock. It was not 2 hours yet. It was 12:30. He came in without turning on the light. I kept my eyes mostly shut. I do not know why at the time. Something in my stomach told me to. He stood at the side of the bed, closer than before. I could hear his breathing. Slow, steady. I felt him lean over me. He was looking at my face. Then he moved. He walked around the foot of the bed. He crossed to the window. He stopped there, between the glass and me. He stood still for a long time. My vision was half blur. The pain meds had me slow. The streetlight outside was throwing rain shadows on the wall. Everything smeared at the edges. Then lightning cracked. He was a shape against the window, tall, backlit white, arm raised, phone in his hand, pointed at me. A small click. Camera, thunder rolled right after. Loud enough to shake the glass. He did not flinch. I knew what he was doing immediately. He was using the lightning. He waited for the next flash. I could hear him breathing in the dark. Patient. Another flash lit the room. Another click. Thunder. He adjusted his angle. He stepped closer to the bed. He tilted the phone for a better shot. The third flash came. The third click. He was not even trying to hide the sound anymore. My hands would not move. The drugs had me pinned to the sheets. My face was throbbing under the splint. I could only keep my eyes cracked open. He stood there a few seconds more. He looked at his phone. He scrolled. He nodded to himself. Then he walked back to the side of the bed. He adjusted my blanket. He whispered something I could not make out. Then he left. The door clicked shut. I lay in the dark. My heart was going. My face was throbbing. I could not tell if I was dreaming. I told myself I was dreaming. He came back at 2, exactly on schedule. He was normal, friendly. He acted like the first visit had not happened. I did not say anything. I was scared of what he would do. My mother picked me up the next day. The storm had passed. Wet leaves all over the parking lot. I did not tell her. I was still half certain I had imagined it. The drugs were strong. My body was wrecked. I healed at home for 2 weeks. The splint came off. The bruising faded. I started to look like myself again. I put the hospital night out of my head. It was easier to believe it never happened. Then the message came. It was from a girl I went to college with. We had not talked in years. The message said, "Is this you?" There was a link attached. I clicked it. It was a forum, a private cosmetic surgery board. Someone had posted a thread called Recent Patients. My face was on page 4. 3 photos, taken from above. My nose in the splint, my eyes swollen shut. The lightning was in all 3. Blue-white light across my bandages. The timestamps were 90 seconds apart. My name was not in the caption, but a nickname was. The nickname was on my hospital bracelet. A joke with my mother. Only someone in the room could have read it. The comments under the photos were not medical. They were personal. I reported him. The hospital opened an investigation. It took 6 months. He was fired. He was not charged. The photos were taken down, I am told. I never looked again. I tried to move past it. I got a good job. I started dating someone new. Almost a year later, I was at a restaurant. It was busy. A Saturday night. My boyfriend went to the bar. I was waiting at the booth. I looked up and saw him across the room. He was with a woman, a little girl in a high chair. They were laughing about something. He looked older than I remembered, otherwise the same. Then he saw me. He went still for a second. He did not look away. He did not look surprised. He gave me a small nod. Then he turned back to his family. He cut his daughter's food for her. He laughed at something his wife said. Outside the restaurant windows, the sky had gone dark. Rain was starting to hit the glass. He was not afraid of me at all. I had my gallbladder out in April. It had been bothering me for a year. Attacks after meals, pain in my shoulder. Finally, my doctor said it had to come out. It was an overnight stay. Simple laparoscopic job. I live alone. My family is in Ohio. I did not tell my parents about the surgery. I did not want them driving down for something small. I told my boss and one coworker. That was it. At intake, the clerk typed my name wrong. She corrected it, but she called me something else twice. She kept fixing it under her breath. I did not catch what she was saying. The surgery went fine. I woke up in the room by early afternoon. 4 small incisions in my belly. A morphine button I could press every 15 minutes. I pressed it twice and slept. The day nurse woke me around 4 for vitals. She was middle-aged, kind. She told me everything looked good. She said I would probably go home in the morning. Then she said something I did not expect. "Your friend stopped by earlier." I thought I had heard her wrong. My head was still foggy from the surgery. I asked her to repeat it. She smiled and said, "A friend of yours." While you were out, I asked if she caught a name. She told me he signed the visitor log. He told her he would come back tonight. I was quiet for a moment. I had not told anyone I was there. I asked what he looked like. She thought about it. She said average height, brown hair, glasses. She mentioned he seemed nice. She added he asked good questions about my recovery. I pressed the morphine button. I told myself it was probably someone from work. Maybe my boss sent someone. Maybe my coworker told another coworker. The room smelled faintly of cologne. Not mine, not the nurse's. It was gone in a breath, but something did not sit right. After the nurse left, I got out of bed. It hurt. I shuffled to the door. I had to hold my 4-pole. I walked to the nurse's station. The visitor log was on the counter. I asked if I could look at it. The nurse there nodded. I flipped back to the entries for my floor. I found my room number. Next to it was a name I did not know, a first name and last name. The relationship column said friend. I read the name 3 times. Nothing. I did not know anyone by that name. Then I noticed something else. The same name appeared twice more on the page. Different room numbers, same floor, same afternoon. He had visited 3 patients. I asked. None of them knew him either. I went back to my room. I locked the bathroom door when I peed. I have never locked a hospital bathroom door before. It felt necessary. I climbed back into bed. I pressed the morphine button. I tried to stay awake. I could not. I woke up to the sound of the door handle. It was dark in the room. The only light was the green LED on the pump. My clock said 11:50. The door opened slowly. A man stepped inside. He closed the door with his palm, softly, like he did not want to wake me. I kept my eyes almost shut. He walked to the side of the bed. He sat in the visitor chair. He pulled out his phone and looked at something. Then he looked at me. "Hey, Kevin." My name is not Kevin. I lay perfectly still. My heart was slamming. I kept breathing like I was asleep. He waited. Then he got up. He walked around the foot of the bed. He stopped on the other side. He looked at the whiteboard above my head, the one with my actual name on it. He was quiet for a while. Then he sat back down. He pulled up a photo on his phone. He turned the brightness all the way down. He studied it. Then he studied my face. I heard footsteps in the hall. The night nurse was doing her rounds. He stood up fast. He slipped past the foot of the bed. The door opened. The door closed. The hallway outside was quiet again. The nurse never came in. She must have seen the chart and passed. I lay in that bed until morning. I did not sleep. I did not press the morphine button. I did not move. I told the day nurse everything when she came in. She looked at the visitor log with me. The name was there. She told me she would call security. Security came up an hour later. They took my statement. They told me they would pull footage. I got discharged at 11. 2 weeks later, security called me. They had reviewed the footage. The man on the video was not a hospital employee. He was not on any patient's authorized list. The name he signed was fake. It did not match any ID in their system. He had visited 4 rooms that day. Mine was the last. They told me they had flagged him at intake. They assured me he would not be allowed back. That was all they could do. I asked if they were telling the police. She told me the hospital was considering it. I never got a follow-up call. 1 month later, I walked to my car. My apartment complex has a long parking lot. It was evening, getting dark. I was tired after work. I saw a man standing by the dumpsters. Average height, brown hair, glasses. He was looking at me. I slowed down. He raised his hand. He waved. He was smiling. I had never told him where I lived, but he knew.